Hells yeah. Welcome to a lonely Friday night. Welcome to the loneliest name in late night, the loneliest show on the internet. Welcome to Sam Roberts Now. I'm glad you're all here. We've got a lot to talk about tonight, a lot to unpack as always. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to do everything that you should be doing on YouTube, especially, of all places, here on Sam Roberts Now. And what kind of Friday would it be without everybody's little man right over my shoulder? Ladies and gentlemen, Hot Dog is here. And look, I gave him, that's why we have a 90-second countdown at the beginning of the show. You know, there are still people that are like, lose the countdown, bro. I'm like, especially, I get it. It seems pretentious if you're watching it taped after the fact. But when we're doing it live, it's like that 90 seconds, I'm making sure everything works. And I feel like I'm giving everybody a second to jump on. That's why we added music and everything, so you know it's coming. You can always fast forward through it. But especially tonight, I gave Hot Dog that 90 seconds because it looked on his video screen like he was informing on the mafia before we started. Like, he looked like he was shadowing himself out. And I was like, I don't want people to think we're up to something shady, Hot Dog. So luckily, that bright light is shining on that beautiful face.
Shining bright like a diamond.
That's just how Rihanna said it, too. That was great. That was awesome. Well, I hope you're doing well, Hot Dog. I know you're excited. I've seen some of your Instagram stories. New York Comic Con is upon us. It is that weekend.
Yes, sir.
I'm not at Comic Con. I'm ready to go back. You know, I guess everybody's got to be vaccinated. And is it masks, too, in the Comic Con?
I haven't been in the actual Javits Center yet. I've only been at the exclusive press only events.
That's my bad.
And there's been no masks in there.
Well, yeah, I feel like the mask thing, while practical, is also a little. I mean, there's so much cosplay that goes on at Comic-Con. It's almost like wearing a jacket over your Halloween costume when you're a kid, and it ruins everything. Like, you spend so much time coming up with the perfect pirate costume. And then your mom goes, we got to wear a jacket. It's freezing outside. And you're like, Captain Hook didn't wear a parka? What are you talking about? And it ruins everything.
It's bullshit, Mom.
Yeah, I know. But I'm glad it's back. I'm glad people are out there doing their thing. Is there anything you're like specifically excited about seeing there? Lots of companies drop news, entertainment, video games, comic books, the whole thing.
Yeah, they showed a Dragon Ball Z trailer yesterday. That was pretty cool at the panels.
Whoa, did you get to pretend you were actually into anime?
I like to just comment on Twitter and be like, oh man, I can't believe it's happening, and then kind of forget that it happened. And
right, like, but you just want to like jump in there with anime Twitter for a second. Be like, look how excited they all are. Me too. I want to get that energy like a vampire, suck it out, and then forget that it was even a thing to be excited about to begin with.
Yeah, I just want them to love me. That's all.
Which, by the way, if we could make a comment real quick as we're talking about Comic-Con, I finished Squid Game. It's great. You're like the biggest hater. It was great. I watched it till the end.
I was expecting you to.
I didn't fall off at all. Like, not at all. And I saw the twist coming. I saw it coming a mile away. Like 2 episodes in, I was like, yep, that's what's going on. But still, it felt fulfilling. The ending I enjoyed. I from beginning to end, I was with it.
We're not allowed to talk spoilers right now, right?
I don't want to yet, right?
Yeah. No, I thought the ending. I thought the whole time I was looking at, okay, what's the message that they're trying to send or convey with this story, because it's like.
You're just a hater. You're just a hater. You're just a hater. Like, you're trying to figure out, like, you can't just sit there and enjoy the show. Just watch the show and be like, oh, this is a good show. No. Or you're like, well, what's the subtext to this? As if you have any kind of brain for figuring out subtext. Hot Dog, you are not a subtext guy.
No, it's not that. It's that I felt they were trying to convey a message, and they were trying to be deep and philosophical.
Well, yeah, the message they were trying to convey was it's difficult, even if your life's on the line. It sucks to have to kill your friends. I don't think that that's such a. I mean, look, was it a little anti-capitalist? Sure. Because capitalism is what drives you to that place. But I mean, also, all of us who have benefited from capitalism, I'm sure, have gotten into murderous stress over it as well. Maybe not everybody is as comfortable taking out lines of credit after lines of credit as you are.
I think they were just trying to be like, oh, look how deep we are in our message. And then at the end, there wasn't anything powerful to convey that message. It was just like a very, like you said, you were able to tell what the twist was in the beginning, a very, unremarkable kind of ending where it's like,
you just didn't want to like it because your friends liked it. That's it.
No, that's not true at all. I'm not a contrarian.
You are when first of all, you have been known to take the wrong side on things and been like, okay,
on the contrary,
you think that popular opinion is going to go one way, so you buckle down, and then when it turns out against you, you're like, oh no, I screwed up.
When it happens, I go, okay, let me give it another shot. Maybe maybe I'm wrong here. You know?
I didn't find it to be heavy-handed at all. I was like, by the way, there are people in the chat saying I literally just started this last night, so don't spoil it. And I don't want, I think people are like giving it a chance, but you're literally the only person I've met that's been like, it's not that good. Like,
Yeah, when there's so many people calling it, the best show on Netflix or whatever, and you look at it and it goes like, okay, that was fine.
Well, what's your okay? So what's the best show on Netflix?
You kind of go a little bit heavy in the other direction.
What's the best show on Netflix then?
I don't know, but it's not that.
It's like,
does Breaking Bad count? That's
no, of course Breaking Bad doesn't count. No, it's reruns.
But it got popular on Netflix. Technically, it
didn't. It was a huge hit for AMC.
Whatever. I don't know what the best show on Netflix is, but
it got popular on Netflix. Oh yeah, you're right. Nobody watched that last episode of Breaking Bad. Definitely. I mean, that was a real snoozer. Nobody watched the finale. Same thing with The Sopranos.
It didn't pop off.
No, you're right.
No, it didn't pop. Right. It didn't pop off until season 4, and season 4 is when Breaking Bad went into Netflix. And so it gained popularity, and then season 5 came. That's how I watched it. I watched everything on Netflix up until season 4, and then season 5 pulled up, and I was like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna watch this live."
And you were like, "Oh, AMC got this Netflix show on."
Yeah, first dibs.
Well, what I was saying about Comic-Con was that the big announcement that I saw that I thought was exciting for a minute, and then found it to be less exciting, was the big Rockstar Games announcement. I know you got your PS5 that you're enjoying over there. Did you see the Rockstar announcement?
No, what was the Rockstar announcement?
GTA announcement.
Was there at Comic-Con?
Yep, it was Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. The rumors are true. The remasters are coming in HD by the end of the year.
Oh, I see it now. I just pulled it up on Twitter. PS5, baby? Yeah.
Are you pretending to be excited about this? Like, we're not all sitting there going like, but what about GTA 6?
No, no. San Andreas remastered. Give me that.
You
yes,
want San
GTA
Andreas
6.
remastered more than GTA 6?
San Andreas is better than 5. So I mean, so like, yeah.
San Andreas was the one that was like that was in
CJ.
Yeah, that was the one that was kind of based on Boys in the Hood, right?
Yeah.
So
give me San Andreas, and 3 was good too. 6 will come when it comes, but those be great. Yeah. As long as like the graphics are actually really, really,
Yeah, they got to be super remastered. Like it can't just be like a polish put over it. Like you have to feel like, okay, I'm playing this in 4K for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm
happy with it.
GTA 3 was the first GTA game. Like that's when GTA became GTA as we know it. Like, the original, I bought Grand Theft Auto on PlayStation 1 when it first came out just because it was such a weird game. And I mean, the graphics were terrible. It was all aerial shots. It was like an arcade game.
Had it too.
Yeah, it was super fun, right? Like that was a really fun arcade game. But GTA 3 was the first Grand Theft Auto game that took it kind of into the place that it's in now. Where it was like, the graphics were improved. You were actually going on missions. You were playing as a person. Like it was what we know of as GTA. And then Vice City was the Scarface version of that. And then San Andreas was the Boys in the Hood version of that, which is cool. I mean, I don't know if it's better than GTA 5. I mean, GTA 5 is so damn expansive. Like it's just such a large world to be driving through, and everything looks so good. I mean, San Andreas is fun, don't get me wrong, but I don't know that it's sitting there. And maybe because you like your stories in your video games. I more mean like after you pass all the missions and you get free play. I love free play, I love GTA 5. This is how I play GTA 5 now because everything's open. I still play it. I don't even play the online version very much. I just play GTA 5. I start the game. I steal a car. I drive it to the airport. I get all the cops after me, jump into a plane, fly the plane as far as I can, jump out of the plane in a parachute, watch the plane explode. When I land, I commit a whole bunch more crimes, drive to the airport, get a plane, fly the plane, and I just try to go in that cycle as many times as I can. That's the whole game. Yeah.
The
game is called Grand Theft Auto. It's a pretty serious crime.
It is, but it's not murder.
You don't murder people in GTA?
I sometimes for fun. It's fun doing the not obvious things. So sometimes I like to, kind of like pay attention to the red light and the green light in GTA.
You're playing it like it's The Sims?
Yeah. Like I only kill if I have to.
Like it's just Third Life, or Second Life or whatever that game is called, where you're just going by the rules of what you would do in real life.
Yeah, and in San Andreas, go get a haircut, go hit the gym, something you actually don't do.
I had to figure out how to play GTA with my kid when he was like 3 and still now when he's 4, where it's just the car game. I don't do anything outside those cars because first of all, the sound is off. There's no apparent, according to him, the game has no audio and it's just the car game where you can drive and sometimes you crash cars and that's it.
Dad, this game's boring.
He likes the car crash game. He doesn't have any idea of all the other fun stuff you could do in that thing. But GTA 5 came out in 2013.
Yep.
8 years ago is when the 5th version of this game came out. I mean, it's crazy.
On the PS3, right? It came out on the PS3.
No. Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And oh my God, that's how long ago that was. That's right, because they had to make an upgrade for the PS4, right?
Yep.
Wow.
I just looked it up. Came out for the PS3 and Xbox 360.
That's so crazy. They went through an entire console without the next game. Like, that's insane. You can't be that much of a GTA cuck where you're like, all right, San Andreas, I mean, GTA 6 would be fine, but finally a remastered version of San Andreas, and I get 2 other games with it? Great.
But those 3 games are so huge. That's going to hold you down regardless. If it looks like PS5 graphics, I'm happy with that. That's a lot of work.
I would rather than put the work into GTA 6.
Fuck that.
I'm trying to go
like
on
that.
some new map. Can you imagine how big the map could be with a PS5 game engine? Like on a 4K Blu-ray disc, how much space? I love an expansive game. You know how much you could fit on that? GTA 3 is
Rockstar.
the one. GTA 3 was the one that was in New York City, right?
Liberty City.
But it was pretty much New York City. Yeah. You know what my favorite thing to do in that game was? You would get the cops after you by blowing through tolls. I would get on the bridge and blow through the tolls. I haven't played that game in a long time. Look, if I can get my hands on a PS5 ever, because it's coming out for Xbox X, whatever the Xbox is, PS5, and I guess people are really excited. It's actually coming out for Nintendo Switch as well.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Is it?
Bro. Yeah.
Hold on. Let's see.
It's coming out for the Switch. Look it up. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's coming out for the Switch.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's
PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, S, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch.
Okay, so I don't know what any of the Xboxes are. I'm not going to get it for PS4 out of principle. Like, you can't get an upgraded game on a downgraded system. Like, if you're going to get, like, at this point, to buy anything for PS4, like, I can't justify it, you know? Even though I can't get a PS5 because I used my only hookup, I wasted it. But,
it's not wasted.
But so I can't get the game until I get the PS5. And I will get the upgrades just because I am waiting for that GTA 6 so much. But
you're saying, oh, imagine GTA 6 and how great it was on PS5 and how big the world is.
Yeah.
And like Rockstar's just like, yeah, man, imagine that.
Sounds like it could be cool, huh? You're like, yeah, and they're like, yeah, could be. I don't know. Yeah. They're like, listen to Hot Dog. We spent a whole bunch of time upgrading the graphics on this game, and I'm like, why? Like, what? Why? If they were just like, hey, here's GTA 6. Also, you can play the other games with shitty graphics on PS5 if you want to. I'd be perfectly fine with that because I'd have GTA 6.
Yeah.
It's a good thing they didn't tease an announcement. People would have been pissed. They were like,
were people pissed? What was the general consensus?
I mean, I
feel like people were like me.
Like, oh, dope. I think what I was reading was people going like they're not excited about it. Like, we're all gonna get it, but people going like, this wasn't the announcement we've been waiting for. You know, like we're waiting for an announcement. Did you see? I wish I had the clip. I don't have it. There was some in another country. There was some like talk show that was live, and an audience member jumped out of the audience, ran on stage, grabbed the mic, and went, "Yo, Rockstar, where's GTA 6?" Yeah,
I'm looking at the comments. It's pretty split.
Yeah, okay. So there are
the people going like, "Where is GTA 6?"
Right. There are people with that like company loyalty to Rockstar that want to be grateful. Which I'm like, grateful.
Yeah, one of the comments on all caps, no one wants this. You're wasting your time. Drop GTA 6.
I mean, he's not wrong. Like, I can't imagine. I guess there are people because there's you, but I'm not sitting there. I'm not grateful for this. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be that guy that's like, look, I'm grateful for anything. Like, no, I'm paying you money. This is a thing. I'm a customer. You provide a product. I'm not just going to be so loyal that I'm going to go like, whatever you give me, I'll be grateful for. Thank you. You can't.
Bro, you know how many times I've bought a remastered version of like Final Fantasy? Like the same game since PS1? Maybe like at least 7 times.
Do they improve the graphics a lot or not that much?
No, not at all. It's just like
you can just
reporting it.
You can just use the
like you can play this. Yeah.
You can just use the disc
like, hey,
now.
Yeah, PS1. Now you can play it on PS3. And I go, cool, I'm getting it. And then they're like,
But you already
Now you can play it on PS4.
beat it
Oh man.
on both those systems,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. But now I can play it on my PS4.
Same
And
game.
then,
It
like,
doesn't.
hey,
It
guess what?
looks no different though.
Exactly the same. Like, not a retouch or anything. And then they go, guess what?
What?
Now you can play it on PS5.
Whoa.
There you go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've gotten that for PS5?
Oh, I got almost all of the iterations. Yeah.
Good.
Mhm.
Good. That's great. Well, we'll see, man. I mean, it's coming out later this year, and they said they're gonna have a version for iOS in the beginning of 2022. But like, I'm not about that.
No, it's gonna look the same as the PS2 version.
Yeah, I think so too. I'll tell you what was big this week. I'll tell you what got everybody talking. Can we have this conversation, by the way? Can we have a conversation about the closer by Dave Chappelle, the final for the time being, Dave Chappelle Netflix special, without speaking in extremes? Is there a version of this conversation where it's not either the mecca of all comedy or causing violence? Like, is there a version of this where it's not the top or the bottom? Is there a purgatory place where this can exist? Can we have that conversation?
Sure.
I haven't seen a lot of it.
You're gonna have to give me about 90 seconds so I can go back to incognito mode.
Yeah, that's why you were shadowed out. Like,
Yeah.
I'd like to say I thought it was funny. Who said that? I prefer to remain anonymous. Yeah, look, I watched it. Obviously, I'm as big a Dave Chappelle fan as I think one would find. I love Dave Chappelle. I was lucky enough to get to see him do stand-up in Syracuse, and I was also lucky enough to be of that generation that I was like a freshman in college, just as Chappelle's show was really hitting its stride. Like, I think season 1 might have been on while I was in college, because that's the same year. It was around the same time that he came to Syracuse to do stand-up, and it was like watching it. I mean, I liked Half-Baked before that and everything, but that was really, I mean, it was revolutionary. It put him over the top, and I mean, that show was so successful, it created a model for Comedy Central to build off of. Like, they tried to make that big of a star out of Carlos Mencia, and it worked for a second. I mean,
Hey, white people!
Yeah.
Hey,
poor Carlos.
Mexicans! Ah!
Now he's got to deal. He was the king of the world, and now he's got to deal with Hot Dog mocking him. Can you imagine? You are Hot Dog, and can you imagine getting to a place where you are the king, and now you got Hot Dog on YouTube mocking you?
White people crazy!
Do-do-do.
Oh God, I hated that.
Yeah, it was awful. It was like a very dumbed down version of Chappelle's show, but it was super popular before Joe Rogan went. And Joe Rogan, it's so funny. Maybe karma is real, because Joe Rogan might have created cancel culture. I just realized that just now.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan, I can't think of an earlier cancellation than Carlos Mencia, and a more extreme cancellation. I mean, this dude was the man, and then Joe Rogan canceled him. So maybe everybody trying to cancel Rogan now is karma. You think Carlos Mencia is just sitting there every time a Joe Rogan article comes out, just like jerking off to it, just like, this is the greatest. I hope this never ends. Yeah, exactly.
Like
He's just got bots and bots and bots. Like, listening to every word. He's the one listening to every word of the podcast, just emailing like New York Post and Mediaite every single time a podcast drops. Did you hear what he said about vaccines this time? This is not good. Oh, we better go with this. Yeah, I got him again. Doo-doo-doo. Got him again. Maybe. Man, I just realized that.
Yeah, that's what made me a fan of Joe Rogan in the first place.
Because he canceled Carlos Mencia?
Yeah.
That's so toxic. That's so toxic. That's such a toxic reason to be a fan of somebody.
I was like, this guy fucking rules. No, and I showed it to all my friends who were dumb Carlos Mencia fans. So he steals jokes, right? He's fucking awful.
Yeah,
Here, watch this video.
It would be like if you found out that Squid Games was stolen, and you just showed everybody. Everybody.
Yeah.
That's not even his idea. Somebody else did that.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I typed in, I purposely, I went to Twitter after I finished the show and I typed in Squid Game overrated.
How'd that come back?
I spent a good hour just going, yeah, it is overrated.
Other people saying it was overrated?
Yeah, but I searched it out and I was like, yeah, you're right.
Those are the I want to be different folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to join in.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not alone.
Yeah. Yeah, then they did the Amy Schumer, same thing. Amy Schumer was the one that came after Carlos Mencia for that model that Chappelle kind of got the ball rolling on for Comedy Central. But this was the
Key and Peele. The Key and Peele were good.
Key and Peele were really good, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like they figured it out with Key and Peele. But that was also because I think enough time had passed where Key and Peele were not trying to do Chappelle Show. It was just like, hey, we're a couple of guys who write sketches as well. Like it wasn't
right.
Chappelle
didn't invent sketches.
Right, exactly. But so I watched The Closer, obviously. As I've been a fan, as long as I've been a fan. And I think people say he's one of the best comedians alive. I think it was either after the last special, after the special before it, where and I think I said it on here, where I came to the realization that Dave Chappelle is the greatest to ever do it. I mean, live or dead, it's tough when somebody is still doing the work to make that declaration, because it's a lot of, when somebody passes away or when somebody retires, you can kind of look at their body of work in a different light. You know what I mean? It's not this work in progress, but I mean, I just don't see it any other way. I think Dave Chappelle is the greatest comedian to have ever performed, in my humble opinion. I put him over at this point, over Carlin, over Pryor, over all that. He's my guy. And so I'm watching The Closer, and and I talked about it with Jim on the air earlier this week. There's so many moments where you're just like, you know what I mean? And that's the best. Like you don't even always know where the laugh is coming with Dave, or when the laugh is coming, so you're like, I'm probably not gonna laugh because I know the laugh is coming, and then he changes the punchline on you, and it makes you giggle. I love that stuff. I also love that Dave, his specials feel very thoughtful, and some people don't like this about him, but I feel like he almost tries to put his philosophies into what he's saying. Like, I feel like he wants his specials to have purpose beyond just comedy, and not in a preachy way, and not in a sort of like going for the crowd or wanting, like, not in a clafter way. I think that's what they call it, clapping and laughter. Some comedians get up there and they want you to go like, yes, I'm so glad. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm more talking about creating comedy out of these viewpoints, which is, to me, comedy at its best.
It's a fine line, and I feel like sometimes he does
get preachy
a little bit in that direction. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So yes, because ideally you want the joke to always come first, and usually, very often with Dave, the joke comes first, right? And you can tell the joke comes first. Yeah. And even in the specials, even when he does start going off on his own thing, he always brings it back to the joke. Like, that's how I feel like Dave keeps you on board, is that he brings it back to the joke. And there have been other things that he's done, like the thing that he did for George Floyd was just a totally different type of thing. I thought that was brilliant, but it was a different type of thing.
That wasn't a comedy special.
It wasn't.
Just
it was him pouring his heart out. And the thing he did about getting his Comedy Central show money, that was just genius contract negotiation. That's how good this guy is. That he went up there and he was like, hey, this money that I don't have any legal recourse for, I'd like to have some of it because I feel bad. And these giant companies were like, all right, you can have some. Like, that doesn't happen. Yeah. Who does that ever? Scarlett Johansson had to sue Disney to get her money. And Dave just like put out an Instagram video going like, that doesn't make me feel good. And Netflix is like, okay, we'll cancel it. And HBO's like, you may have some of our money. And it's just, it never happens.
If Scarlett just left it up to fan support to get her money, she wouldn't be getting that money.
No. People would be like, you got enough, Scarlett. What is superhero money? No. Superhero money. You can't have the superhero money. Because that's the other thing, too. It's like, it's a big difference when it's an entire thing that comes from your brain or you're just playing a role in it. You know what I mean? It's not like Dave was an actor on the show. It was completely his thing. So in this special, he clearly made it the last special in this body of work. And while he said that he was going to kind of come back on feedback that he's gotten on all of the last 4 specials, I mean, most of it was a response to the criticisms of the 4th special, right? Like, most of this special was about how people responded to the last special. I think. Yeah. I was sitting there going, like, halfway in, I was like, he's going a little hard on the LGBT stuff. Like, he's going to, like, it's like what is really going on here? Because he will not let up on this stuff. And there would be like gaps where he would go without a punchline, just trying to make points on it. And I'm like, Dave, like, this is getting weird. But I think, but then he brought it all together with that story at the end. Did you watch the whole special, Hot Dog?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I thought the story at the end was brilliant. But what I think was, watching this thing, I think that he was hurt. Like, I think that he was truly hurt that that so many in the LGBTQ community were upset with his last special. And we're saying, that he was anti-trans and he was anti-this and he was anti-that. I think he got his feelings hurt. And I think that and that's why he told the world this story about this trans woman that he had become such great friends with and her family and everything. And I think that's why he spent so much time talking about, the difference in the way certain minority groups are treated and whether they support or don't support each other. I think that in a weird way, even though people in that LGBTQ community were coming at him because they didn't feel supported, I think he was hurt by that. And the fact that they didn't support him. Does that make sense? It felt like there were real feelings here that he was working through.
Yeah, but even if that's the case, like that, he took like maybe 40 minutes of that whole special.
There's a lot.
And devoted it to like the first 20 minutes weren't anything like that, and it was fine. And then it was like 40 minutes of this again. And we had like a good half hour on this, like LGBT stuff in the last special too. But here's why I thought he was hurt this time. Because the last one felt like jokes.
The last one, most of it was like the car bit is a great bit. Yeah. Like the car, like they're sitting in the back there. Like that is a bit that people had a problem with, but that's a hilarious bit. Like that to me is a classic Dave Chappelle bit and will go down as a classic bit. But this one was more like, you guys came for me and it hurt my feelings. And I was like, huh, that's weird that you're spending so much time on it as opposed to just letting it go, And also, I've been watching the response to it too. And I'd love to find out how he feels about it because remember when he walked away from his show? And that's another thing. Like Dave can come from a different place. So there's 2 things going on here. I think that he was hurt by it, but also I really think that Dave knows that he can't be canceled. He's uncancelable. He's put himself in a position and his skill level has gotten to the point where he's too good to be canceled and he doesn't want to be famous enough to be canceled. Do you know what I mean? Like, because those are the 2 things that are going to get you. If you're not that good and you're being propped up by something else, or if you've got that thing where you want something and it requires the check mark of somebody else. And the way you get canceled is that the internet convinces, or somebody convinces that person who can make the check mark to not make the check mark because it will be bad for your business. And now I can't go to that person. You know what I mean? I can't,
I mean,
like you have stopped me from going to that person, and that's what I needed. Dave doesn't have that person. Dave is not
isn't
looking
that
for that.
isn't that Netflix technically though right now?
If Netflix said no, he could go to any streaming service in the world.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Netflix knows that. That's what I mean by uncancelable. Because Dave is almost like Dave could put it out on his own website and still make money. Like Dave could put it out
Yeah.
on YouTube and make money. That's what I mean by Dave could do whatever he wants. Like you could, and Netflix knows that. People are trying to get Netflix in trouble. There's more. I feel like there's, as the days have gone on, there's more people going for Netflix than there are going for Dave. Like people are
Because they know it's futile to go.
you're not
because
going
Dave
to
isn't gonna.
no, you're not going to get Dave. So they're like, okay, we're
Yeah.
going to try to get Netflix. And they're like, they're trying to be like, you're platforming this. But Netflix knows that this is their business. Like they can't lose Dave Chappelle. Every time Dave Chappelle puts out a special, it is the thing to watch. And that has never been disproven. So, I don't think, when I say uncancelable, I mean because he is more valuable to Netflix than Netflix is to him.
Yeah.
And that relationship makes it so you can't do it. And I don't know that there's any actor, for instance, that does that. Like Kevin Spacey is like the best actor ever. Although, I guess it's a different thing because Kevin Spacey did a lot more than make some bad jokes. I mean, Kevin Spacey probably broke some laws here or something like that. He was definitely accused of it.
I don't remember, but that sounds like something I might have done.
Right. And Kevin Spacey doesn't exactly have the fan base, based on those YouTube videos he put out. I don't know that there's a celebration every Christmas that Kevin Spacey has dropped his new video.
Ooh, it's dropping, yeah.
I can't wait for Christmas, though. Let's see what Kevin's got for us. So yeah, I think that there's that, and I think that there's also that, yeah, because he knows that he can push this farther than anybody else can, he's going to. He wants to. Like he is challenging people in that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
just
not,
whatever the intent
he's not worried about
whatever
it. Go ahead.
Whatever the intent was, it's like, all right, like, yeah, like this is how you feel and all that stuff. It's just a bit disappointing to have it, like, because you feel like Dave still has so much other things that he could, like, make jokes about, and it'll be a gold mine and all this stuff. So it's like, I don't necessarily disagree with everything that he says. It's just like, all right, let's get on with it, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, it's almost like you love Dave so much, you're like, can you make some jokes about another thing? Like, you just want more. Like, you're like, we're only going to get an hour of this, man. Why are you still talking about this?
Yeah, like,
like
all
this,
right.
this seems like
he was like, I'm not gonna make more LGBT jokes after this. I was like, oh, okay, but now we gotta wait like 5 years for another special.
Yeah, and you said it's gonna be a while too. You said you weren't doing one next year. Like, come on, dude. Like, you could have done like 10 minutes on it and then said you're not gonna do any more LGBT jokes instead of doing 40.
Yeah. That's what this was disappointing. I don't. Either way, like whether you agree with what he says or not, that's just that Dave could have a way better special than that.
Yeah. I mean, and he's also a victim of his own ability, right, and his own success. Like, the expectation for what he can do is so high up that, like, that's the measuring stick. Now, he created his own measuring stick. I am curious though. Like, this is what I'm curious about, right? Because he said he left his show. One of the reasons he left his show was because the wrong people were laughing at the wrong jokes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he looked out and he realized that people were laughing. Like, if he would show a racist thing in his sketch, instead of people laughing at how bad it is that somebody would do this, they were laughing at this. Like, oh, that's funny that he did that, instead of like, oh, this is absurd that he would do that. And he said,
I think it was like, do you remember like the Pixie sketch where like, he would be like a stereotype of like an angel on your shoulder or something like that?
yes.
So he would do like the Mexican and the black one and all that stuff. And then he said some staff member or someone was just laughing and making him like so uncomfortable laughing because he knew like the type of laughter that
So
it was.
on that note, his special has been totally politicized. Like, so many people have taken what he said and kind of used it for their own political merit. Like, every sort of right-wing person or anti-cancel culture person or whatever has put out stuff kind of flaunting how great he is. All of a sudden. I mean, it's the same thing as, like, basketball players being like, well, I think vaccines should be I don't even know if I should say that word. I think YouTube just demonetized me.
Oh boy.
Basketball players saying vaccines should be a personal choice, and Ted Cruz being like, let's applaud these basketball players for speaking their opinions.
I stand by LeBron James.
And you're like, this isn't your energy, man. You didn't. This is so transparent. So I do wonder, now that people are doing that.
What happened to Shut Up and Dribble?
Exactly. So I wonder if Dave is feeling the same thing, or if he feels differently now. I don't know.
Oh yeah, like as soon as the special was over, I go to Twitter to see what the reaction is to it, and it's like the Daily Caller, Dave Chappelle, blast woke culture, and then,
but then also woke culture, like all the people that are super woke culture are going like, Dave's our enemy, blah blah blah. Like, it just becomes so politicized. And that's the other thing. The empowerment of comedians is an insane thing to me. Just like how much there is no differential between a professor or a newscaster and I should say a journalist, not a newscaster, like a professor or a journalist or a researcher or something like that, and a comedian or an athlete, or like, nobody sits there. It's not an excuse anymore to be like, well, yeah, they're a dumbass that was just doing that for the punchline. That doesn't, like, you can't say that. And you're like, why wouldn't you? Like, why? This is not an educated person. Like, he just tells jokes, right? And I'm not talking about Dave Chappelle specifically. I'm talking about all these comedians that you see like, oh, this comedian just said this thing. And you're like, who cares if that guy said that thing in that context? It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah. I mean, he was talking about that in a special where like people, no matter what, like both sides will like take clips or like quotes from his special and then like, just use it to like, whatever fits. Like, and then, so like, you'll see like people on the right doing that. And then you'll see people on the left quoting things like, I'm Team Turf. And then that's it.
Yeah.
And then you ask, did you watch the special? And they go like,
no,
I didn't need to watch the special.
Yeah. I'm the thing that they're mad at. Because I saw they were mad at the special, so I like the special. And then you go to the people that are mad at it, and you're like, did you guys see the special? And they're like, no, but I heard about what he said about J.K. Rowling. And you're like, okay, well, I think this might be based on nothing. I think this whole thing might be based on absolutely nothing. Speaking of, by the way, what a transition. Speaking of based on nothing, have you seen LulaRich?
No, I haven't seen the doc yet.
Okay.
It's on Amazon, right? I got to watch it.
It's on Amazon Prime. Okay. Have you heard about this company, LulaRoe?
The only thing I know is that it's one of those, MLM scam.
I love that
companies.
you're so internet savvy. You just call it MLM, like you just throw it away, like MLM. Like, who doesn't know what that is? Like, you're just one of those kids that's on the internet. You just know what's up, dude.
I like watching those kind of, companies get exposed.
MLMs?
Yeah.
Well, MLM.
Wish you were here and all that stuff with the banners.
MLM stands for. Do you know what MLM stands for?
Multi-level marketing.
Nailed it. Nailed it. That's my guy. That's why you're here, hot dog. Yes. MLM stands for multi-level marketing, which is like, it's kind of like when you have one person at the top and then two below and then three below and then five below and then seven below. And it starts to form kind of like a pyramid shape. That's multi-level marketing. No.
It's not a pyramid.
No. That's like that episode of The Office where Michael's like, let me explain to you how it's not a pyramid. And pyramid scheme. This person gives to these two, gives to those two. And Jim just stands up and just draws a line and a line and a line across. And then Michael goes, stay here. I have to make a phone call. And he just. But basically, okay, so LulaRoe, I was fascinated by it. My wife told me about it because she's been aware of LulaRoe for a long time. It's a pants company that started a movement, you know? It's this company that really started taking off in the mid 2010, maybe mid to late 2010s, maybe late 2010s, by putting out like kind of, I don't know, like elasticy skirts. I don't know what they're called. And then really exploded when they started putting out leggings. And they just, there's a lot of women. They targeted moms for the most part. They targeted moms that are on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. And there's a ton of them. And they put out these leggings. Now, these leggings are hideous. Absolutely hideous. But they make them in so many different varieties that you go, okay. And they attach this messaging with the leggings that's all about female empowerment and girl bossing and all this stuff. And who doesn't like female empowerment? So people go, I got to get these pants. I got to empower these us women. The women they're going like, let's empower ourselves and get some of these pants. Now, it was started as a company by these two. These are two folks. I can't remember their names off the top of my head. I don't remember if I wrote it down or not. But they're Mormon people, and they met each other on an airplane, and they got 14 kids, many of whom are adopted. And this woman started making some money. She believes in the husband should do the lion's share of the earning in the house, but hey, if the little lady can have a hobby that brings in some cash, why not? That's kind of where they're coming from. And she started doing these things where she would buy dresses wholesale, and then she would have dress parties at her house, like once or twice a week. And she'd invite everybody that she knows over her house, and they could come to her house and buy these dresses. And people were like, I love these dresses. And she was like, thanks for buying one. And then they were like, oh yeah, this is a good business. And she was like, well, you should get involved in it. And they're like, tell me more. And so then she, I think, would start like to sell the dresses in bulk to her friends, who would then have their own dress parties, and they'd make money. So they come up with this idea to make this a bigger picture and to use the internet by saying you can all have your dress parties. You can all have clothes parties and then make money selling the clothes and have the clothes yourself. And it was like, great. And these women started signing up. They're like, I want to do this. And they started advertising it all over the place on social media. And they said, it's part-time work for full-time money. You raise your kids, and on the side, you have a couple parties, sell a couple pants, and all of a sudden, you're going to have a full-time income coming into your household. It's going to be fantastic. And so women were like, I got to do this. And as it happens, you could also recruit people. And you're like, oh, that's even better. There's another side to this business. And they go, yes, you can recruit people, and there are levels to how you can recruit them. So like if you recruit 3 people, you become this rank. If you recruit 7 people, you become that rank. And people, try to recruit as many people as they can to achieve a ranking. And then that each of the people, like let's say they recruited 8 people, now all of those 8 people are getting these leggings wholesale, and they're all trying to recruit people. Because while yes, you can make money on the leggings, in the beginning, people were making real money through their bonuses. And their bonuses came through recruiting people. And real quick, there's 2 things at play here as I'm watching. Because I've watched a lot of these documentaries, and I was blowing my wife's mind because she couldn't believe that I knew what was going on, like before they said, here's the problem with it. But it's like, to me, most of these businesses feel exactly the same. There's 2 things at play here. Number one, if the money is coming in not through the product, then the product doesn't matter. And if the product doesn't matter, then what is the business? And if the business is just recruiting more people, then you're a dog chasing its tail. Like, what are we doing here? What is the long-term plan for this? Because you think about the long-term plan, and just hot dog, just the way I set you up, right? Just like the way I set that up. I'm sitting here thinking about this. Like, okay, what you're really selling is not pants, but the ability to sell pants, right? That's what you're selling. That you can sell. I am selling you the opportunity to also sell pants, right?
And then I go, okay, but how much can I make on just the pants? No.
Whatever.
Don't
Like,
worry about that bullshit.
you can make all kinds of money on the pants, but then you sell people on selling pants. And they go, oh. I mean, it's so clear to me. Like, this would be my question. What happens when this is very quickly gone through the neighborhood and everyone that would buy pants has now purchased the opportunity to sell pants? Who the hell are they going to sell pants to? If everyone's selling pants, there are no customers. You can't turn all of your customers into salespeople unless you're at the top of the food chain or you're at the top level of the multi-levels or the pyramid, because there's no more customers. They're all salespeople now. Those were the customers.
Everyone's on one side of the equation.
Yeah. And you're just trying to scoop them more over to that side of the equation. And people are like, it costs like they go, all you have to do is start the introductory package. And people go, how much is the introductory package? And they're like, well, the cheapest one is $5,000, but you can go to a lot more than $5,000. And like, while we say, part-time work, full-time salary, the people that end up getting targeted are broke. They're broke, and they're like, this is how I'm going to get out of this hole. They don't have $5,000. If you got $5,000 laying around, who wants to sell pants? You got $5,000. You're going to waste your time trying to convince your friends to buy pants? And that's another thing. That has to be so uncomfortable. Can you imagine a hot dog getting your roommate Nigel and being like, yo, Nigel, you guys see these pants? You want to buy them? Like, Nigel would be like, are you, what? We're like roommates. Are you trying to sell me pants?
I've lost one of my childhood friends because of like stuff like this.
Was he selling?
He was selling. What was it? It was like Dream Trips or something like that.
Oh.
They sell discounted flights. So like,
he
got in.
Of course, you'd be a sucker not to do it. Who pays full price for these plane tickets?
So he got into it, and at the beginning, I kind of told him, I was like, man, this kind of like a thing. And he's like, oh, no, it's different, whatever. And then I was like, okay, whatever. Just, do your thing, and you'll figure out eventually that it's a scam.
Yeah.
And then one day he hits me, he calls me, he's like, hey, man, I'm in the neighborhood. Gonna pull up and hang out? I'm like, yeah, man. Yeah, pull up. Dude, no problem.
Yeah.
And then I open the door, and he's with someone else that I've never met. And they have a laptop. They have a laptop, and they're like, hey, this is my boy. We just wanted to show you this little thing. And I was like, oh, you really gonna fucking
is it a meeting?
Like, what are we doing?
Is it a pitch?
Yeah. See, he ambushed me with a pitch.
Yeah, you can't. The only business I ever had selling to my friends was when I would buy candy at Costco and sell it at school. But never, it was always just like you walk around with a box of candy and you put the logos of the candy that you have on the box. This is what I have. Yeah. You can see it. If you want it, come to me. If you don't want it, no worries. But it's certainly not
involving you into anything that's going to take any of your time or try to buy, bring you into my business. Here's some candy.
Look,
you want it?
You can get an even bigger discount on these airline tickets. If you buy 10 and get this, you can resell them. And you're like, oh my God, how many did they get you for? How many did they get you for?
It was a goddamn slideshow, like a 30-minute fucking movie.
No, you can't. You can't. It's so uncomfortable. It just destroys everything. These poor women are going on Instagram, going like, hey, Instagram Live, look at these leggings that I have that you could buy. Blah, blah. And you're like, come on. So there's two tiers here, right? Not only is it that you're trying to, the business here is that you're trying to recruit more people, but this is the key, and this is what I found very fascinating. I've watched a lot of documentaries and read plenty of material about cults. I find cults to be extremely interesting. I just find it just fascinating, endlessly fascinating that an adult brain could be convinced to follow like that. Like it's wild to me that you could be convinced to pack your whole family up and just dedicate everything to this thing that a guy said. Like that's wild to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching it and I'm looking at the language that's being used on this thing. And when they start talking about female empowerment and become a girl boss and do this and do that, and it's like, okay, like clearly they're setting up a lifestyle around the pants. Okay? So like the pants become part of a lifestyle brand. And there's nothing wrong with a lifestyle brand, except now part of the brand is selling the brand. Okay? So imagine being like a fan of something, right? Like a hot dog, you're a fan of a lot of things, okay? So you see something on your Instagram, right? And you're like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And there's hype built around it. Because, there's all kinds of different pants, and some of them are limited, and people love it. And you're looking at people love it, and they're hashtagging it. And you're like, I want to be involved in this, right? Let me buy some of these pants. And when you become
joggers.
Yeah. And when you become a fan of these joggers, like these joggers, it's not just any jogger. Like you got hot dog joggers on, right? And like you want to be like, no, I'm the man, and I'm no phony either. I'm the real deal. And it's like, well, the real fans of these joggers buy multiple pairs. So you're like, all right, let me buy a couple more pairs, and these are going to be the pants that I wear because I also like the lifestyle that it's pushing. I like the female empowerment. I like the girl boss thing. I like to do this and everything. And they go, well, then, if you're not really a part of the lifestyle if you're just buying. And you're like, oh, you're right. Like the real people in the lifestyle, the real influencers are selling. I should be selling too. And they're like, good news. You can sell. And then they would have these things, right? And this is where it gets real dirty too, where they said, if you don't have $5,000, they had all this advice for how you can come up with the money. And it was like, take out multiple credit card loans. Take out this, take out that. And it's like, people ruin lives this way. This is how people fuck everything up for themselves. And they're like, yeah, but imagine all the pants. And it's like, okay, I didn't think about that. There will be a lot of pants. But you see what I'm saying? Like, in order to be a big fan of the brand, you can't just buy the product. You have to sell the product as well, which then gets you involved in the thing. Then they start going over all like the language that they use once you're in, which is people go, oh, wait, like when they realize they're not selling the pants that they thought they were going to sell, it's all blaming people. It's like, well, the system works if you work the system. And you're like, oh, then I guess it must be me. It's like, well, if you were working hard, you'd be able to be rich. Like, they go like this. They go,
you ain't hustling.
They go, there are people that are rich from this. So why aren't you? And you go, oh, I guess it's me. I guess it's me. Definitely not that the people that are rich showed up at the very beginning of this business and didn't have to trickle down through like 180 layers of people. No. It's not that. It's definitely not that. It's definitely not that the business is set up for a very few to succeed and for most to fail. It's definitely not that. It's that you're lazy. And what drove me crazy is it's literally gaslighting. They set you up by saying part-time work, full-time money. And then you get the pants and you're like, I'm not making a full-time salary. And they're like, well, you're not putting enough work in. And you're like, oh, okay, you're right. And nobody goes back and says, you told me it was part-time work. That was the whole deal. You told me I wouldn't have to work that hard. And they're like, you're really not working that hard. You're
just not grinding enough. Rise and grind, baby.
Exactly. So it really, and then they start going, like the company started growing like crazy. The two hired everybody in their family to run all the different departments in their company, even though nobody in their family had any business experience whatsoever. They like had to get a bigger factory at one point, but they didn't have it yet. But they had so much product that they needed to produce, they just didn't have anywhere to put it. So they started storing it outside. Before they shipped it, they would store it outside. And it would rain. So people started calling the hotline and being like, hey, I just got my product. They'd be like, great. And they go, yeah, except it smells like shit and it's all moldy, like it's been sitting in water. And they were like, I don't know. And then they showed an aerial shot. It's definitely because it was sitting in rainwater the whole time. They were sending them moldy leggings. Moldy leggings.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing that the pants don't really matter.
They were like, just recruit more people then. What are you talking about? Yeah. And then
They're making money off the pants?
Yeah, it's not even about that. Like there's another great multi-level marketing documentary called Betting on Zero. And it's about Herbalife. And
I would watch that.
Oh, it's great. It's so good. But there's all kinds of great characters in this doc, okay? So not only, hang on, I'm frozen for a second. There we go. Not only are we meeting these two, but it's like, so here's like, this woman is a saleswoman, and like some of the people that are there are very honest about it because they were a victim of the system. But then there are a few people still making money. So like they'll be questioned going like, how much money did you make selling pants? And how much money did you make recruiting people? What was the difference? And people would be like, well, I don't want to answer that. It's like, no, I think you're violating my HIPAA rights by asking me that question. I don't want to deal with that. This guy, I mean, dude, if you watch this thing and you know how sometimes like you watch a documentary and you know that the filmmakers realized that they found gold in just this human being that exists. This guy right here, he's so great because at first he's just this like real kind of quiet, weird guy who's just talking about how he loved all the feminine energy in the office and working with women all the time. Because like this guy doesn't look like he should be in a business that revolves around women's leggings. But he seemed to fit in. He was friends with everybody. And then, I mean, bro, it is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. I was thinking about him last week because he starts to realize what's going on with the business, right? And the business starts to get in real trouble when they have a refund policy and they advertise the refund policy and everybody buys a bunch of pants knowing they can just return it. And then real quick, without telling anybody, they canceled the refund policy. So everybody is stuck with all their pants. And like the company's a mess and nobody knows what they're doing. And this guy realizes how bad it all is. Now, some of the stuff they talk about in the documentary is the wild parties they threw, which is another very culty thing. That they threw these wild, like, we're having the time of our life parties where it'd be like the LulaRoe retreat. And if you were a certain level of LulaRoe person, you could go to the retreat. And like they would have like Katy Perry performing, and they would have big dance shows, and they would have like people, like salespeople who had really sold a lot of pants coming up to the stage and talking about how their life had been changed and everything. And then they start going over like this guy, and he starts talking, and he's like, he goes, and poor Mario Lopez. They go, we got Mario Lopez one year dramatically under budget. I couldn't believe how affordable he was. And it's just like they just take this minute to talk about how cheap Mario Lopez will work. But this poor guy, he sits there and he goes, yeah, I was really excited because we had Kelly Clarkson to perform at our event, but after I realized what was going on, I quit the company and I had to boycott Kelly Clarkson because of everything that had happened. And I was a huge Kelly Clarkson fan. And you're just like the poor guy. And then I was listening to like the radio this week and they were advertising that Kelly Clarkson was coming out with a Christmas album. And all I could think about was this poor guy. He's not going to be able to enjoy it at all. He's got to boycott Kelly Clarkson.
Probably got her blocked on Twitter. I can't see any.
I can't see Kelly Clarkson. It just reminds me. It's not good. It's not good. Oh, this woman was great. She was like, I don't know. She was working there at LulaRoe. And LulaRoe also did they did a cruise. They did all this stuff. They're still in business. Maybe they're still doing it. But they had a cruise for people to go on and everybody come together. And again, you get everybody at these retreats. You get everybody on all these cruises. And it just is like, surround yourself with LulaRoe. I mean, it was sick. Like at one point, like the people at LulaRoe were trying to convince LulaRoe saleswomen to get like liposuction and to change their appearance. They were offering family services. Like they would offer family counseling, telling people how to keep their marriages together and stuff. And it's like, bro, we're just selling pants here. This is none of your business.
No, we're more than the pants. We're a family.
That's what they said, dude. And this woman was great. She goes, they asked me if I wanted to go on the cruise. And she goes, and I said, no, thank you. I just don't want to be like stuck on the boat with, and then she hesitated. And then she hesitates and then she just decides to go for it. She goes, I just didn't want to be stuck on the boat with, with all those white people. I couldn't. She didn't want to be on. And I was like, I get it. I don't think I'd want to be on a boat with all those white people either. She too many white people all stuck on a boat together. She didn't want any part of it.
That's
Oh,
great.
and then this is maybe my favorite character in the whole thing. This woman, she just shows up. It's a 4-episode series, and it's on Amazon Prime right now, and it's called LulaRich. And like on episode 3, this woman shows up, and she goes, "Hi, my name is so-and-so, and I just had some I just had some friends and stuff on Facebook, and I worked in this office or whatever, and I just developed this hobby of looking up all the bad reviews and lawsuits that LulaRoe got." And you're like, okay, here we go. Here we go. This is where it gets juicy. And she's like, oh yeah, and just as a hobby, I just started a Facebook group about how bad LulaRoe was. And it's like, this is what it looks like. This is a professional LulaRoe troll. This is who she is. This is what she does.
She won't call herself that, but
No, she was just like, oh, it's just a hobby, just sitting there seeing what LulaRoe was up to. Like, oh my God, just being a thorn in the side. And they have all this great deposition footage because I guess at one point LulaRoe was sued by the state of Washington. And
for what?
Being a pyramid scheme or something. Not pretending that they offered people refunds, all kinds of wacky stuff. But you know what people don't talk about? When they do documentaries like this, when they quote unquote expose businesses like this, everybody always blames it on the business. I mean, it's like YouTube's kind of part of it, but it's like the social media companies that try to like eliminate a certain type of content. They're like, well, we're going to take out all this content so it'll be safe. And then you go, well, are you going to stop the algorithms so it stops making people nuts? Are you gonna not use the algorithms that make people crazy and conform? That's how these bubbles that people live in are formed, through algorithms. Are you gonna stop doing that? And they're like, what? I'm like, algorithms. You're gonna stop doing algorithms? And they're like, huh? What? What do you mean?
We're trying. It just takes a long time.
Yeah, no, that'll never stop. And like, the conversation should be not like, hey, this company, it's pretty bad, huh? If they're not doing anything illegal, why are people allowed to have multi-level marketing companies? Shouldn't that be the conversation? Like, it seems like every one of these, it's like, yeah, they were bad because they were a multi-level marketing thing. And you're like, well, then why is it a thing that people can do? Shouldn't it be a thing that people cannot do? No? Am I crazy?
Guess the lobbying, right?
Lobbying.
Yeah, so much money, maybe they can just lobby for it not to happen.
I got to talk to the homie Andrew Yang and see if we can do something about that.
Are you thinking about joining the Forward Party?
Bro, I'm an independent, okay? I'm not over here trying to join parties, but I'm not mad at the idea of somebody coming in and shaking things up a bit. I never have been. And, I've been Yang Gang, so that's not new.
Day one.
Ben followed me on Twitter, so just saying.
Man, all these stories that you like mentioned from the doc, like the retreats and
Yeah.
trying to make people feel like they're part of a family and all this stuff. It's literally every single MLM company. It's the same tactic.
Which is also every single cult.
Yes. Yeah.
It's weird psychological tricks that make people unaware. Like, it makes you not think about the fact that this is clearly a bad idea, because they just
But
inundate you with, like, even thinking that thought is a betrayal of your family. Because once they've got you convinced that they're your family, then they can convince you not to betray your family. I mean, I think when you look at, like, a lot of all these, like, the cults and religions and MLMs and all this stuff, it's like, that's how they do it.
I mean, like, going back to that friend of mine, I look at his like feed now on Instagram or whatever, and it's just he's just surrounded by everyone who's a part of that, that whole company or scheme and whatnot.
Yes.
So that's his friend circle now.
Because
imagine trying to leave that.
No, imagine trying to leave that, and it just because it allows you, right, when you do that, it allows you to believe that the people like Hot Dog that are saying you got to stop doing this is a bad idea. Well, they don't understand. They're the enemy. And if you can surround yourself with people that agree with what you're doing, then we all agree that Hot Dog is wrong. Hot Dog is the enemy. And let's be honest, it's not that hard to believe that Hot Dog is wrong. I mean, that's more specific to Hot Dog. But
broken clock.
At least twice a day. At least. It's going to be 12 o'clock at some point. But yeah, that's it.
I mean, some people say it's right twice a day, as some people would say.
Did I say wrong?
Ruben likes to say that a lot.
Oh.
Mr.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, no, but you're 100% right. That, like, you end up in this scenario where, like, now not only do you have to leave your business behind and everything you've invested in your business, but your entire friend circle and what you've now created as your family all has to go by the wayside. And for what? So you could hang out with Hot Dog?
And then after you invest all this time and you get out, you look silly. It's hard to leave. You look silly.
Yeah, because
you're the asshole.
You're an asshole. Like,
yeah.
You're like, yeah, because all the people around you are like, yeah, I told you a year ago this was stupid. You're like, I know. What? I'm stuck. It's really a wild thing. It's a wild manipulative thing that I just find super, super interesting. Speaking of cults, if you want to get your comment read on the show, you can give me money. The only rule of Sam Roberts Now is super chat. Every super chat gets read here on Sam Roberts Now. Ricardo Rodriguez says, it's not a cult, it's called good marketing. What are you, Ja Rule? A cult? No, it's not a cult. Good marketing, but not a cult. Yeah, well, I would think that, like, I would think the Jonestown, Jim Jones would probably say that he was a great marketer. How do you draw that line?
Great pitch ideas.
Yeah. And by the way, that wasn't even a super chat. I should never have read it. Never have read it.
Oh.
But
I'll
if you
strike that down from the record.
Thank you very much. If you do want to super chat in now. They'll all get read. And
hit that like.
Thank you, Hot Dog. I wish they would have already. I don't understand. You can hit the like before the show even starts. Did you know that?
Let's get to 69.
Let's get there. Let's get to these super chats. Dave Bostian. Corn Pop was a bad dude. A lot of people forget that, but he really was a bad dude. I would put my switchblade in water so it would smell like my LulaRoe pants. Dave Bostian also says, and I think that this is for Hot Dog, F, Marry, Kill, Mark Cuban, Dave Chappelle, Angie.
Okay, let's get the easy out of the way. Let's kill Angie. I'd have to just because he's a billionaire, marry Mark Cuban, fuck Dave Chappelle. And I'm sure Dave Chappelle fuck story would probably be a great story.
Probably be a great story. And Mark Cuban, Dave Chappelle's rich, but he ain't Mark Cuban rich.
Nope.
Right? Good move. That was the way to go. Not Sam Lehman. It's funny that Hot Dog wanted to read the subtext, seeing as he can't read actual text.
The subtext?
We were talking about Squid Game, and I said, you're not a subtext guy, and Not Sam Lehman was saying you can't read regular text.
Usually I have to pause it. I pause it every scene, frame by frame, and I had to like do this with my finger and just make sure I get it all right.
Hot Dog didn't like Squid Game because he saw himself as Ali. Yeah, he did. I would let you. Don't worry, dog. Hold these marbles, dog.
Opening the bag.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Hot Dog. Go look and see who else is out there. Here, hold these marbles. Say less, fam. Yeah, no. Maybe that's why you didn't like Squid Game. You know you would not. I don't even know if you would have made it past red light, green light, to tell you the truth.
Bro, it's not just about that. And I was having this argument with my roommates. First of all, I'm very unassuming, and that would be a good advantage in the game. I would make alliances with all the gals.
You would make alliances with the gals, but they would betray you, just like people have. The gals have betrayed you in real life.
Yeah, no, but they would think that I'm stupid enough to be betrayed by them. I know that I can't trust them, but I will make my alliance, and then I betray them first.
But don't you worry that since you're kind of a cuck, people would realize that?
How long are we going to be there? They got 3 days to figure that out.
That's true. That's true. You could trick them for a while. That's true.
Yeah.
Dave says, Sam, take all of Hot Dog's marbles. He trusts you. Don't worry. I probably could get your marbles from you, though.
I would be like, is Sam trying to do that thing from the show? No. No, he wouldn't do that.
No.
Okay.
You know what? No, I'd go the other way. I'd convince you that you had Alzheimer's. I go, yeah, but you said, and you'd be like, what? I'd be like, yeah. And you go, all right, well, then I guess you win.
I guess.
I guess you win. Dave Bostian, Hot Dog, when you going to get poked by Sam's bro? That's what people want to know. And then he says, R.I.P. Dexter Teft, Fezziwig, and Hot Dog's not dead, Dad. How's Dad doing? Good?
He's not dead.
Good for him. Still ringing that bell? Licking his lips?
Bing, bing, bing.
Hoping you don't blow him up in an old folks home?
Yeah. Oh, I have my needle. I'm just trying to give you that vax.
Yeah. Pinky Schultz. Many saints skimped on two things. The relationship between Tony and Dickie, hella underrated. That's probably fair. Mom Soprano was moody, but Tony needed therapy for 5 years. Well, I think that there wasn't enough Tony to establish how bad the mother was. That's why I think that I can't imagine them watching that movie without having a good Sopranos foundation before going in. Because you're 100% right. Like, if you didn't watch The Sopranos, I don't know that Tony was a necessary character at all in the movie. But if you did watch The Sopranos, that's what made it interesting. So, another Dave Bostian, it's upsetting that 067 was killed, but Hot Dog is fine. That's fiction. Like, he would rather his fictional character still be alive and you be dead in real life.
The sacrifice he's willing to make.
Ernie, Sam, I've been hearing you do some Chip jokes on the show, but I've never heard your Chip impression, which I think all your loyal listeners deserve. What's that?
Ooh, good.
Thank you, man.
Sounds just like him.
JD Straight Shot, are Jimmy's windows okay? I hope the saga never ends. I mean, you better believe. Monday morning. Topic number 1. Jim, you're back from Atlanta. How are the windows? Guarantee. Reed Rothschild, my bro has done work for the Lululemon founder. By the way, this is not Lululemon. This is LulaRoe. 2 different companies, but still. And you know why he named it Lulu? Because he'd had his prior biz overtaken by Asian knockoffs and wanted a name only Asians could say. I swear this is real. Maybe it is. I don't know. Sean Pisarski. That's a tough name to grow up with, if that's your name. Why didn't you ask Yang about his pet day Twitter post? I honestly forgot about it. We did ask him about the bananas, to be fair.
Did you? I was thinking about that. Maybe I missed that part. I was like, I didn't ask about the damn bananas.
I asked him
must have
about.
missed it.
I talked to him about I specifically looked at him right in the face and I said, like, for instance, the bushel of bananas. People looked at you and they were like, "Look at this fucking idiot."
Yeah, you did say that.
Okay.
But I wanted him to explain his decision between not just getting one banana and just grabbing the whole thing.
You know what? He wants to come back. He had a really good time. And when he does come
Yeah.
back, like, that's when we'll probably be a little more relaxed and I'll go, like, let's walk through that. Like, walk me through the bananas. Like, is that way he'll know that, like, we're friends. We're just trying to have a good time. We're not trying to, like, gotcha. But, like, walk me through the bananas thing. How did that happen?
I need to know.
Yeah.
I need to know.
Yeah, no. Yeah, the bananas was just in that context. We didn't get a full breakdown of how he went from wanting one banana to getting an entire bushel. You don't buy a bushel of bananas in a bodega ever. It's never happened.
No.
No, you go to a grocery store for that. Like, by definition, a bodega you go to, like, every day. You just get the day's food. That meat you get.
Let me get a banana. Let me get a milkshake.
Well, I mean, I don't know what you get. What meal is that?
Well, yeah, maybe.
I mean, is that breakfast, lunch, a banana, a milkshake, and some chips? A milkshake.
Well, now you see
a milkshake.
Well, now you see why my body is in the shape that it is.
Yeah, they're like, well, generally we don't make milkshakes at this bodega, but I guess if you really want a milkshake, we got milk and ice cream. We can mix them together for you. Yeah, that'd be great. I'm gonna get this banana and these chips too. Reed Rothschild, Yang was a great guest. Third party is what the country needs. In my opinion, he passed the mustard. I don't know why you want to bring that up. That's not that cool. All right, guys. And then he said, I want an in-studio version of Yang's Pizza Pie song next time. That's probably a stretch. I don't know if we're going to ask him to sing the Pizza Pie.
Some production
Pie
for
song.
Troy? Yeah.
Oh, all right, guys. We went long tonight, but it was worth it. I hope you all enjoyed it. We got past the 69 on the likes, so we're pretty good. Pretty good.
Nice.
Don't forget to hit like if you haven't already. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I am going to make sure that I manually put the ads in. Because anytime I go to YouTube and I go like, yeah, you guys just put the ads in for me. They're like, okay, the show's an hour and 20 minutes, so I guess 78 ads would be good. And then people are like, the fuck? And I'm like, I didn't know. So I will put them in manually going forward because if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself.
Maybe during the live show, you take actual breaks. You start doing that. You have like a natural way to put those breaks in.
That's probably the way to do it. That's probably what we're going to do. Don't forget, I'm going to cheers with you later. We'll see you next time. Have a good one, everybody.